Number 2, find a mentor and in return, become one when you're able. It's true that this industry isn't always so nice. Though few, I've had my own fair share of unfortunate experiences, but it did not discourage me from continuing to help. Cultivate the environment and the talent you want in this industry. So I implore you to give back to this industry what you may not have received. Just remember how good it felt when someone answered your questions or helped you figure out how you were going to get catering out of who the heck knows where, China. That lifeline helped you. Be ready to give that back. Number 3, be honest. This industry is small. What you say and what you do travels very far. It's better to be unknown than being known for the wrong things. Number 4, be open to constructive criticism. And sometimes that actually means looking for it. That has helped me the most. In the beginning, it always seemed like people were holding back from what I actually needed to hear. So I began asking the hard questions to make it easier for them to, just to provide me simple feedback. As a contractor, the trip is done and they're like, bye. My questions range from the layout of my resume to why wasn't I included in a post-flight debrief, which leads to my last point. Make yourself seen as a crew member and one that is prepared. Today's flight attendants need to be prepared beyond all the niceties that come with their job duties. My time as a flight attendant instructor has always kept me focused on a safety-first approach to every aspect of my role and duties, and that continues to translate into our new era of flying during COVID-19. So are you prepared for what that type of flying looks like? If you are a contractor, have you been informed on what each op you're flying with is doing differently to stay prepared for active flight operations during COVID-19? And what are they doing to keep you safe before you say yes to a trip? It's hard to be seen with so much taking place and the changes that are happening daily, but remain seen and prepared. In closing, the ultimate goal is to survive this crisis like the ones previous, personally and professionally. Unfortunately, survival does come with sacrificing something we love, but that does not mean to abandon it. Some may need to take a new role to provide a source of income, and that's okay. You have to take care of yourself. Coming out on the other end of this, however, means being prepared to return. If history has a way of repeating itself, it's that we will see the sky again. That is a given. We will fly. So I thank you for your time and appreciate that you allowed me to share this story and these little tips. So Young, if there are any questions at this time before handing it over to Tamara to add to this.
Please send me a private message. But while we're waiting, we can take it to Tamara.
Thank you, Jennifer. That was beautiful. That's hard to follow, but we're here because that is so motivating. We all love flying. And if you ever find yourself lately, if we haven't been flying, you're driving to do errands and you keep driving to see something new. I do that many times. I go out for an hour and then I'm out longer. But yes, we all been through obstacles, but I like to say, one door closes, 10 open, and it's the same through COVID. We're gonna get through this and we do it together. I have a couple terms, and if you know me very well, I keep saying them, and that is one. There's been so many other opportunities through this time being home and getting to know people more and talking to them more because we are all at home. Always have a backup plan. I was taught that through the years. If something doesn't work, we always have a backup plan. We do that while we're catering. We should do that in our lives at all times. Always have a plan if something isn't working out, definitely. You need to find a niche. always in this career and in this on the plane, find something that is your niche that you can improve on, make it better for the next person. Even as a contractor, we all have our own little personal niche that we can improve on to make it easier for anybody else coming along the way. Have some goals set. Think about what you've been doing during this time and what your goals are in the future when you are back to flying, and make sure you're reaching them. I've been very fortunate. Being a flight attendant in the military, we had a great support system, and I feel coming out of it, I wanted that same support system, and so mentoring, and I got involved to build that support system before I got out, and it's been an asset. I can rattle on, sorry. But one thing that was brought to my attention is you're not just a flight attendant. So think of yourself more than just a flight attendant when you're out there. And a lot of times when you just say, I'm a corporate flight attendant, you're more than that. You're a manager, you're a program coordinator, you're a travel agent, you're a safety expert, you're a mentor, you're a travel agent, you're a chef, you're a foodie, you're a cheerleader, sometimes you're a listener. You are the face of that aircraft. You make or break that trip. The pilots can land and take off, but you're the one who's going to make it work every single time. So when you're thinking about all that, even though we're not in the skies all the time right now, think about it wherever you're at this moment. You are a facet of so many characteristics. When you're out there, and like I said, I'm all about the mentorship, and I agree with Jennifer, you know, especially during these times, you find a mentor. Right now I'm working on this whole program, so please reach out to me and I'll help assist. But we got to push people forward, help them reach their goals, because they're always going to bring you along and help you reach your own goals. And I think that's all I got right now. But thank you, Young, so much for everything.
I didn't have a mentor when I was transitioning from airline to corporate arena. And oh my God, I tell you what, I thought I knew what I was doing, right? But now in retrospect, I look back, I was basically running like 200 miles, not knowing where my finish line was. I had no mentor, and it took me 3 years to make that complete transition. So I highly recommend anybody who's seeking a guidance. You know, it's great that you have friends and the people, relatives, boyfriends, girlfriends working in the operation, but they can be a great support. But what you need is somebody who's been there, done that. So for that, I think all of you, your input and experience, I'm sure is something that can be new to some people, but I think this needed to be spoken. So Julie, please take it away.
Yay! Well, I don't know how much new I have to add after all that. So I'm Julie Cosma. I'll be really brief. So I will date myself by saying I flew commercially for Delta for 20 years. September 11th came, things got ugly. I wanted something more, and a good friend turned me on to corporate aviation. I took the plunge, emptied out my checkbook to pay for my training and not having any idea really what I was getting into. I went through training and instantly fell in love with it. Took me probably months to finally get through to someone to answer my phone call. I had someone give me a chance, finally. Did my first flight, went well. My name got tossed around. This is probably a very similar story to other people. My name got tossed around. I contracted for corporations, private owners. I did a lot of charter flying for a couple years until I finally landed my first job. Great position that I loved for 4 years, and then that job suddenly went away very abruptly. After picking myself up off the floor, some of you may be going through this right now, trying to regroup and figure out what to do. I basically had to start all over again. Being full-time for 4 years, you sort of are out of the mix with a lot of things. So when I came back into having to start over contracting, it was really, really difficult. I felt like I was brand new. I felt like I had nothing behind me already. Contracted, did some work here and there, pretty successful, several accounts that I was pretty fluid with. And then the job that I have currently came my way. It's been 6 years now. So I'm lead on a Global 6000. I have 2 flight attendants on my team. And it's been quite a journey, but it is not without a lot of hard work and drive. I've contracted, private owner, corporation, charter, had a job, lost a job, transitioned from commercial to corporate. So I've had some experiences here and there. And one thing that I will say that I hear from Tamara and from Jennifer is having someone take me under their wing. When I first went to training, I was lucky enough to get introduced to someone that was very well respected. Little did I know she was watching me in training. And I guess she saw that maybe I had the flight attendant thing, but she just guided me and helped me. I wanted to be like her. She was just so cool, so together. That was like, I just want to be like that one day. So we obviously are still friends to this day. But that was so important. And I also was very lucky to have the opportunity to not just be a contract flight attendant, but initially starting out working under a really strong lead flight attendant who taught me so much. Some things I still do today, and I think about her. I think, oh, she taught me that. But I was really lucky to have that guidance, but you have to be willing to go out there and not only look for it, but accept it. I think about a lot of the contract flight attendants out there that are maybe pretty much just doing it on their own. And it's really, really tough when you have someone to help you that's respected, that you respect, that has a very successful career behind them. Those are the people you want to latch on to if you want to excel and be really professional and on top of your game. And that's what I want it to be. I didn't want to just work from month to month and trip to trip. I want it to be a really good flight attendant. So I think what you hear in all 3 of us right now is a very similar story of having a mentor, being receptive to teaching, to learning, to giving back. I don't know any other way to do it or how it's done. So
Thank you. Well, while you are speaking, I got a question, right? And I think this is a really, really good question. The question is, what do you think is the biggest downfall of social media? Because let's be honest here. It is what it is. A lot of people lost job. A lot of people have been secured by the full-time position. Now they're forced into the contract market. They may have their set of network, in-person network, but everybody could be in the same position. So, granting the very secretive and private business that we are in to begin with, social media turned into like the only outlet that we have. So you personally, well, what is your opinion regarding the social media and people try to network through social media?
Can I answer to that?
Sure.
And mind you, when I started in 2008, Facebook was becoming the thing, and that wasn't the way I networked. I would not say it's not how I have become available to meet people or to answer questions when I have been sought out, but it's not the form in which I choose to network. I'm there, but I'm not this active participant. But I think that social media, it's at that double-edged sword. It's something that can provide some sort of good. It's a great way of today's attendees. Some of them found this actual webinar through that. So that's great. It's a great way of sharing information. I think, however, some of the pitfalls that are there is the idea that something is posted, it must be true or it must be available. And imagine how many people are looking at that very same thing at the very same time, wanting that very same job or availability. So it becomes very difficult and very muddled. I do prefer the organic way of meeting people in person, whether it's conferences or through other networking events or by word of mouth. I'm still very much on, if somebody handed me a resume, I might look at that first before I go through a stack of resumes that get dumped into my inbox. I do read them though, so don't think I don't. But social media has a way of blinding everyone from what's really going on. I think that's why we might have participants today. And sometimes certain posts are very self-serving only to the person who posted it, or to an organization that posted it. And I'm all for free market. I think businesses have to do business, and that's separate. But I think when you have a pool of people like today's audience who are looking for work, it's very hard to know if that is something that's going to benefit them. And so I strongly suggest that you really make phone calls, you really send emails, you really do the work for the jobs. And sometimes it's not about a job as much as it is having right information. Find it. It's not just seeking it through social media. And sometimes that takes phone calls to others in the industry, whether they're in the same city or state, but getting in contact with those who might have the means of finding more out if you do not. And they might show you, and this is how you expand your network, they may show you how to do that sort of work. Not everybody wants to sit behind a computer and spend half the day online, and sometimes that's exactly what you have to do to get your name out there and to do the work and to send the follow-up emails and another follow-up email.
Yeah,
it's what you have to do. So it's
yeah.
I'm sorry to be long-winded, but you can get great information, and then sometimes it's you kind of have to read between the line there. Is this self-serving for an organization? How does this information that was posted really going to help me? And maybe it does. Maybe it absolutely does help you, or you need that training or advice or direction. But if you're confused about it, then you have to do your homework to really find out what does that do for you, if anything.
Very good point. Yeah, Julie?
Yeah, I can answer just very briefly on that. As far as social media is concerned, make your page private. If you're looking for a job, I will tell you that there are people, whether you're looking for a job and it's through a staffing organization or through a company, that is open territory. It will be looked at. Do not embarrass yourself. So I would say keep your social media private. I would say when your name is on the screen, be civil. If I am looking at someone as a candidate and I'm seeing rudeness and nastiness, then I'm going to be concerned with how are you going to treat our vendors. I'm not maybe so concerned that you would be that way to our passengers, but you represent me and our airplane. I'm not going to have that being taken out on a caterer, on a cleaning staff, on line people or whatever. So what you say about other people says more about you. So I would say be very careful with your social media. Keep it private, do as you wish on your own time, but please know that that follows you everywhere.
Tamara, any opinion?
Oh, yes. No, I agree with both. I have a rule: if it's more than 2 sentences, positive, negative, I don't read it, because if you have that much time to write something like that, positive and negative, you should probably call someone, give them the news. Social media to me is meant to stay in contact on a positive note, not, or to get information, whether it's catering because of this, what we're talking about, our industry, or, you know, I'm here, are you in the same area? And I think it's great for that connection. But I agree, if you're looking for a job and stuff, don't put anything out there you don't want your mom, your parents, your friends to see. If you would be embarrassed, then don't do it. And if you have time to write something negative, why are you taking the time? Think about what you're writing.
Yeah.
Rule is, they always say when you're writing an email and it's an angrier email, think about it overnight before you send it. Should be the same on social media, because you can get on there and research stuff very easily and find so much. And think before you write or post.
Yeah. Well, you know, like now I am in a very interesting position where I still think as a flight attendant, but I don't really have a plan to actively go back in the air. I feel much more rewarded as a person who provided good catering for my fellow flight attendants. But because of that, I think I will speak. So this is what I used to do when I was choosing my candidate and when I got the resume. I get the resume, the name may ring a bell, may not, then I'll go online. I will cyber stalk you. I'll look into your LinkedIn, look into your Facebook, and then I will just just scan around what type of posting that you have. What I'm looking by doing it is she self-serving person trying to promote herself, or is she trying to be famous, is she seeking a recognition? That will be a red flag to begin with. And if I'm not sure, if I don't see anything, then I will make a phone call. I will make my phone call, and you will be surprised what information I found out about these people who don't even know I have their resume. So please be mindful. It is an extremely powerful platform that everybody uses. And you know, as a business, if you don't use a digital media as a promotion tool, you're probably not doing it right. But as a person who's seeking a job, I really would not recommend. I got very active with the social media once I started my company in Korea, and I was always active on my page, which was private, but I never went public. A lot of people probably didn't even know who I was, and that was the way I wanted to keep myself. Only the people who need to know me, that can actually offer me an opportunity, need to know me. That was my number one rule as a contractor. So I actually got another question here. Where did it go? Okay, she's been a flight attendant for 9 years. She has been a full time the entire 9 years. Do you have any suggestion of where to begin to get your resume out and meet companies in need of a contractor?
Well, so I guess I would start with that, with thinking 9 years, I'm assuming maybe just getting back out there or looking for a new job.
Mm.
Oh, gosh, I'm trying to think back to the beginning. It's tough. It's not like there is a list of companies out there that you can just send your resume to. This is where networking comes in handy. Putting the word out, fine tune your resume, reach out to those in your area. I can remember even going so far as to stopping by the FBO here in Washington, just trying to chat it up at the FBO desk and see if there was any way, if they needed I could drop a business card or do something. But really, that's where having a network of people behind you, not just when you need them, but establishing that right from the very start and getting involved in different things. Right now, we're at a real difficult time because there are no in-person events right now. We don't have uh, regional meetings. We don't have conferences and conventions or anything like that going on. So I would really stress to reach out to your network, to your other colleagues and friends and peers. Let people know that you are back out there. Check in with the more reputable staffing agencies that are out there. We have Air Care Crew, we have JPI, In-Flight Crew Connections. Reach out to those resources, find out what it takes to get onto their rosters. Get your resume spooled up. I mean, it's a long process, but I do have found in the past, even for myself, that lots of little things, maybe I made one step forward, but it just one thing connected to another thing, which connected to another thing. And I will tell you, it didn't happen as fast as I wanted it to. So be patient.
When I first went to contracting after working, I did the military for 20 years and then took a full-time position and then went to contracting. The average in non-COVID scenario took about a year and a half to get enough accounts under my belt to where I was having to turn down work because I was always flying. So add COVID into here, and it is a little tough, but what you'll find, and like Julie said, is just reaching out into your area and building those networks. And it could be, whether it's through Zoom or talking to the pilots you have flown with or you've met over the years and just reconnecting. It's just building that up and saying, hey, I'm back out in this system. And you'll find you'll get a core group of flight attendants and pilots you used to fly with or you've met through the years that they know you're out there. And you'll find you'll start calling each other going, hey, I can take this job, but I referred you, vice versa. And you'll get a core group that you'll start taking care of each other because your work ethic and you all work about the same.
Exactly. I definitely agree with both Julie and Tamara on those points. I think for me, when I started, I didn't have an aviation background whatsoever. I just jumped right in, which sounds, looking back, I laugh at myself and then I pat myself on the back that I didn't give up. And the biggest thing is starting from the beginning for me. I worked backwards. Where did I take my training? I started with contacting instructors. Did they know anybody in, a flight department in my area? And they may not be, able to provide me that information, but they may know of somebody who is hiring. And so I did. I made those contacts first. And hey, you live in this state. At the time, I lived in Florida, and I thought about all the big companies that might be in my area at that time. And then as where I am now, up until actually yesterday made my 5-year anniversary with my current position in company. Networking, again, it's extremely huge. Do not be afraid to ask somebody you don't really know that well. I'm telling you exactly how I work. This is not a lie. I got a message from a pilot I only met once. He sends me a message, can you help this young lady? She's trying to become a corporate flight attendant, and this is where she lives. She doesn't live anywhere even remotely close to me, but it was just providing her information, and she worked her way in. But it was really just that sharing of a name or somebody referring somebody. You don't have to be best friends with somebody for them to help you. So it's okay to just say, hey, I know you fly for such and such flight department. I may not be looking for a job with your company, because there are a lot of flight departments that do not use flight attendants. They only use flight techs. But that flight tech, that mechanic, they may be able to put your resume in the hands of somebody else. So I kind of went backwards. Who do I know in the industry outside of flight attendants? Who do I know in the industry outside of pilots? Absolutely, I sent my resume, and I definitely agree with, uploading your resume and getting registered with different staffing agencies. But contacts across the board, the industry, flight dispatchers were wonderful help to me. They enjoyed working with me. How you present yourself to even catering companies. I had a caterer once contact me just because another operator was looking for a contractor, and I wasn't flying contract, but I was able to provide them a name. So you really kind of have to think about your name, how far does it reach, and how many of those people can you come in contact with to just get your name out there. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, I think